Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. So today's work is going to be on the E36. We're going to be working on it, disassembling it, assessing it to see what's wrong with it, if there is anything wrong with it. But already in advance, I know there's a couple things wrong with it. I already know, especially, speaking from experience. But it's going to be a good day because I'm already trying to get this car on the road and I'm already trying to go sideways with it. Alright, this is our drift build and I'm really stoked about it.
So on this part right here, so I'm just taking out the bolts from the fender and also trying to take off the hood as well. And it's actually not going as well as I expected to because this is the first time I do take out a hood from an E36 and it wasn't the most pleasant, but I learned how to do it without having to look up anything or any how to do video. I actually just ended up learning how to take it off in the best way possible for one person. It took some doing, but I finally did it, which I'm really proud of myself because I was getting annoyed. Okay, you guys, so what I figured out is this car, it must have been recently painted due to the fact that all this paint residue, so didn't do that good of a job. Here, let me show you guys all that paint residue right there on those weather strips. They didn't really mask it right, so that's one indication. The second one is this one. So this panel right here for the windshield is also painted right there. So yeah, pretty much, I'm pretty sure, guaranteed this was painted. That side, that struck tire was painted. The hood was painted. And most likely the bumper too, but I haven't seen signs of it, but it is an aftermarket bumper and the specs didn't mention anything about like no M Sport package, so we'll see. But regardless of the fact, we got to make sure this car is drift capable, because what I don't understand is why did they have to paint this? Like, I'm pretty sure if they did welded pretty damn good, they would have like had nothing, no bumps at all, and then overlaid the glue or some kind of silicone sealant on top of the paint or the area where they cut it and welded it. But shit, once we get to drive this car, then we'll figure out how's the suspension, how's the car's alignment, how's the car in general. But I mean, everything looks straight. The fender rails right there are bad, but the engine rails are good. We're gonna take the fender out and just assess the damage. To be honest, it's looking kind of bad just because of the strut tower. It was painted. Normally it's not painted, or the previous damage could have been that bad. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Shit. So once I remove the hood, so the next step is to take off the fender. The fender on these generations are actually they're slightly more annoying than the modern versions, but honestly it's not that bad and it was pretty easy. But the things that I found when I took off the fender were extremely bad though. You guys will see pretty soon. Yeah, look at all this right here. All this dirt. It goes all the way to the back, to the rear tires. It's just, it was ridiculous the amount of dirt this car had underneath. And everything was just completely just soaked in mud. There was chunks everywhere. You would not know or be able to tell which part is which, because it was that infested with mud and big old blocks of it just hardened, almost as hard as a rock. It was crazy. But nonetheless, I'm gonna have to check every single bushing. I'm gonna have to check the links, the connections. I'm gonna need to check the brakes, the lines. I'm gonna need to check quite a bit, and to figure out what is leaking underneath is gonna be tough. There's still half the car left to rinse down because the hose wasn't powerful enough to break some of those chunks. So I'm about to go in the back and just start spraying down. But other than that, we do have our work cut out for ourselves. This is gonna be such a journey, man. We're gonna bring this car back. To give you guys an example of what I'm talking about, hopefully I can focus. Okay, so that chunk of dirt right there that's covered, I'm gonna take it out. Hold on, focus. See, oh look at that, there's a bolt underneath that was covered by all this. So that's what's crazy. So this car had that exact situation under. As you can tell right here too, there's still a whole bunch of dirt, and it's covered too. It's bad. And brake pads are shot as well. So due to the damage on the fender, there was one bolt that I was struggling to get, which is the one that's connected to the radiator support bracket, which is on top. It's not the one that I'm working on right now, as you currently see. That's the actual grill, but you guys will see shortly which one I'm referring to, because I was struggling to take it off. And not so much struggling, but it was taking quite a bit to take off, because it was such a long bolt and it wasn't supposed to be there as well. And as you can tell too, look at that fender right there. There's so much dirt in the bottom of it. It was so, oh my god, it was so depressing to see that. Alright you guys, well, just like how I predicted, I took the fender off. Also check this out. That's what I'm talking about. All that dirt right there, it was coming from, I don't know what situation he was in, but it was coming from his collision maybe. He went off-roading. But also I suspected that all this was painted. I was wondering why, because this one has a lot of flakes, there's cracks, it's a lot of drippage. That one right there is a much darker color though. And this right here, there's some welding marks right there. They didn't completely weld it on top. They welded right here as well, as you can tell. So all this was welded, so they put a new one in there. But I'm not too worried about this, because my M3, let me go to it right there. So my M3 got welded. It's funny to say actually that they both got welded on the same side. But mine got welded on this side. It's chopped up. Alright, you got a new one placed in. That's what it had. A couple body parts got sprayed just so they can try to match up the rest. I'm not actually worried or nothing like that, because this can just get straightened out. I'm gonna take it to the shop. The fender rail itself has not seen better days of course, but at the same time it doesn't really look that bad, especially from other builds that I had. So we're gonna let them know. Right now I try pulling and pulling and pulling, because this is where the impact is closest to the wheel. And I managed to like pull like half an inch already. Let's see if that helps. but I'm gonna still try to keep on pulling some more. Then I'm gonna try to clean the undercarriage some more as well. We actually got quite a bit in our hands. This little minor impact actually has some hidden secrets, hidden gems that we have to take care of. So we just gotta clean it. That's it. That's gonna be the longest one. Longest thing to do on the list. And as you can tell too, they tried shaving a lot of the welds because they didn't really weld it. They didn't have the best welding skills, but there's a lot of like chunks in here and there. But I mean, they sanded it down, so that looks even better. But you can tell that they weren't the best welder. So this is gonna be easy. And let's actually proceed with the rest of the things that we have to do to this car. At this point, we're removing the bumper so we can further inspect any further damages that it might have. But just by looking at the bumper, it will not seem that we will find any once we remove it because everything's in good condition besides the one crack where the impact was at. So this is all the parts that I took out. I already put everything back in the car. I covered it, everything's good to go. Here's the car, how it sits now, back to its slumber, until the next day that we work on it. Meanwhile, I'm gonna try to salvage this. Probably get some Bondo or some fiberglass or something. But we're gonna fix this M3 bumper for sure. Because I mean, come on now, who doesn't want to save money? And on top of that, who doesn't want to save the M3 bumper as well? Until the next time, you guys. Thank you for watching, and please comment, subscribe, and like. Please.